Hey up, Knots Gamer here, welcome back to the channel. Once again we're going to be looking at my little purple friend here, the Nintendo Switch. I'm going to attempt to finish off a job we started last time and get the purple faceplate put on the front. We got the Joy-Cons and the rear plate done last time. This one's really tricky as it does involve stripping the entire console down into its constituent parts and rebuilding the entire thing. From what I've seen, there's plenty of ribbon cables, plenty of tiny screws, plenty of frustration to be had along the way, so you need plenty of patience for this as well, guys. Let's hope I've got enough of that and dive in now and see if we can just get this mod on. So here's our kit. Most importantly in there we get our warranty card, but we get a full set of screws, a set of new buttons for the outside of the case and a cartridge cover, 2 screwdrivers, a spudger and a tool to remove the screen with. So let's pop this kit out and get it all set to one side. So here we have a tri-wing and a posi by the looks of it. A spudger, a suction cup to remove the screen, cover for the cartridge slot and the buttons in there, a full set of screws for if I lose any in the carpet, that warranty card, and the main event, the reason you've got to strip the entire machine down, this one piece of plastic to go around the bezel at the front. So we can put that to one side because we're not going to need that for ages yet. The only parts of the kit we'll need are these two and him. We're going to use the screwdrivers that came with the kit. First and foremost, you must turn off your Nintendo Switch. Power off. Switch console is powered off. Games are removed. Right, so the first thing we're going to want to do is remove the purple case we've already put on, so pop the 4 screws out. Not sure what came in the original case, mine are posis. This kit comes with both, so you may have security screws in your case. With these ExtremeRate products, I tell you what, every time I get a kit, the screwdriver kits get better and they seem to work. Now, once we've got those out, we need to take out this one here and the two either side of this power supply. So we'll whip those out as well. Next, we have to find this lovely hidden guy under here. Don't forget about him. So we'll take the stand away for now. Pop this little guy out. And then the centre screw from either end of the console. Then we should be able to pull the ends away. It'd be a bit more difficult with the original case. These ExtremeRate ones are lovely. They just come away so easily. Then we're into the machine. Everything is covered by this lovely heat shield here. Next, there's some screws on the inside that we need to remove. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that need to come out, and they are still crosshead. I've never stripped the Switch down this far before, it's the first time for everything. I'm sure being at one of my videos there's going to be plenty of surprises along the way. There's one more in the centre there. So the other one's for the heat shield. That should just lift up. And this whole assembly should come out, lift away, provided you've not missed any screws. There we go. There's a little board unplugged from the main board underneath, so we'll keep those together for reassembly, and we'll put all the screws for that with the panel itself. Now we are into the switch. All of this has to come out, man, so this is where patience is required. Now we're inside the switch. There are 3 screws that need to be removed around the heat spreader there, and then we need to cut this back or peel it away and remove this heat pipe. So let's get these 3 little blighters out. There we go. So there's the 3 for the heat spreader. Now what we need to do is either peel this back or cut it. But my switch is very old and this is really dried up, so it may just come away if I use the spudger. Cut through it. I'm sure we'll find a way of sticking that back down, and then we should just be able to remove the heat spreader from around here. Oh, that came away a lot easier than I thought it would. I thought it was going to all dried up. And we can take this opportunity as well to clean out our air intake on there. Just get that into focus. This switch can pick up lots of dirt. The thermal compound on the switch itself, I think in this case I'm going to replace, because there's just none of it left. And it is all dried up, to be fair. That's gone very hard. This switch has had a lot of use. Even the little copper heat shield is starting to peel away on this particular one. Next we have to open 2 ribbon connectors here and here on the board. So we'll just pop this one up first, if we can get under it. Man, every time you just feel your heart in the back of your throat every time you pull one of these ribbon connectors on a Nintendo machine. There we go. That one's out, and same for the next one. Just pop this guy up. Then after we've popped him out and unclipped that one, we need to remove 3 more screws, 1 there and 2 on the headphone jack here. Now we just need to pop this connector off the board and this whole assembly should lift away. So welcome back, Mr. Spudger. Remove that from the headphone jack. So now this board can safely be lifted out and put to one side with the screws and the headphone jack, just so you know where everything goes when you reassemble it. Now that's out, we should be able to get this guy out nice and easy. Just pop in there. Put that cable out. So now we pop this guy out, we need to take the remaining screws out of this end, so there's 4 to remove from here. Man, they're tough. I'm going to need to replace these. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of my ExtremeRate screwdriver. This is where disaster strikes. 2 of the screws have stripped, so I'm going to have to drill these out, which is not always advisable. So let me just get those removed. Yours should come out okay if your system isn't really old. This has had a lot of abuse. It was a launch machine. So let's try and get these last 2 screws out this end. Well, it's taken me close to an hour to do because I didn't drill them out, and I've literally done this by hand, manually, with a million different screw bits. These screws are notorious, guys, for rounding off, so be extra careful and make sure that the screwdriver bit is good before you start taking these apart. Taking this side piece off here has been an absolute nightmare. So now we've successfully rounded all the screws off in one end of the system. We need to take them out of the other. So hopefully this won't take another 2 hours. Right, so I got both sides off, but as you can tell there, that is 3 of the 4 screws I removed from the side. They've been in there since I bought the machine at launch, and they've rounded off beyond all reasonable doubt, and it's taken me a long time to get all 4 of these screws out, but now they're out, let's plod on. And the next thing we need to do is work our way around the board, removing all the power ribbon connectors scattered around the switch itself. One has already worked its way loose when I was trying to remove this. It looks like it popped out of this connector here, so I've lifted that one, but we now need to lift these and take the rest of the cables out. Starting with the power connector. Maybe I should have disconnected the battery at the beginning. That's that guy out. Put this one out down here too, and off with the Wi-Fi and the speaker cables. They should just pop off nice and easy. So at this point I don't think we should have any ribbon connectors left plugged in. So 1, 2, 3, they're out. 2 speaker wires are out. 1, 2 down there are out. This guy's out for your other speaker, power connector's off, and that ribbon connector is out there. Probably this guy's come away at the side. We've unplugged him. We should now be able to slide that out from behind the power connector. And there's your left and right hand connectors for the Joy-Con removed. So now I've got those removed, what we'll do is remove the fan, because that's just 3 screws and that pops out. So you've got 1, 2, 3 around the edge. There we go, there's the fan. It's not too dirty, so it shouldn't need too much of a clean. So now that's all done, the fan's removed, we need to take the 2 screws off either side of the power connector there, and then follow our way around the PCB, removing all the other screws. So let's start with these 2. With all that done, we should now just be able to lift this PCB out of the case, making sure to get all of the wires out of the way. And there's the brain of your Nintendo Switch, which will get repasted because I made a complete mess of that, removing those stubborn screws. So we'll pop him to one side there. Now for the tricky part. This is the reason I didn't want to do this the first time around, as I don't have the proper tools for it, but we need to remove the screen from the system now. And the only way to do that is to warm up the edges of the screen to bring the adhesive away and then pull the screen out. It can go one or two ways, guys, and knowing my luck, hopefully it's going to go the way we want it to go, but we shall see. But first off, I need to remove my existing screen protector because that'll cause issues. We'll be putting a new one on at the end. That's been on there since day one, guys, since launch day. Off comes the protector. So here we go. This is going to be, or not going to be, with my Mrs. Bablis hairdryer. Let's do it. You can feel it coming away in the middle. Not quite at the edge where we want it to. Glue's not quite ready, is it? There we go, that's the screen out. Oh, hopefully we've not broke that. Or filled it with dust for that matter, because it did come away from this slightly. Now we've done that, we're going to have to peel the rest of the glue away because we're going to need to reuse it on the new front. So let's warm it up a bit. Next we have 4 more screws around the bezel that need removing, so let's get those out. That's done, we can pop the bezel off, making sure to get all the bits out the back. And the membrane and the buttons. And there we go, bezel removed. One last thing is we will need this here. We will need this, so we'll take that out. We also need to remove the speaker covers, as there's none on the new case. As we remove these, we'll stick these straight into the new case. Also, while we're here, we'll just pop this little indicator light back in the front. Okay, now that's done, we'll get the power and the volume buttons back in the top. You do get some with the kit, but I'm going to use the originals just to mix the colour up and keep in tradition with me not using the purple kickstand first time round. So we'll pop these just on top here. This seems to work a lot easier than trying to fiddle to get them in. You stack them both at once and just shove it. Everything goes into position nice, and they drop straight in, nice and tight. We can now clip the bezel onto the machine here. Pop that in bottom first, making sure to get everything where it needs to go, which includes not having the cables just fall the wrong side. So we lever that up and sort of clip it over. Pop everything back where it needs to go. That just slides in underneath the buttons that we've just put in. Push that all the way back and make sure your buttons are working. Then we need to flip that over and just put the screws back in the front. So the 4 screws we removed from there earlier, we need to pop back in the front. Next we need to get our torn up sticky stuff from earlier and get that all the way back around the frame. Once that's on, we then bring our screen back, making sure to pop 3, you see the 3 cables, ribbon cables through the holes on the back. So corresponding to that, the black ribbon cable at the top pops through here, and just next to this white one, the gold connector in the centre folds underneath and pops through here, and then the little tiny one at the bottom pops in through there. Straightforward, yeah. So let's get this on. I think what I'll do is try and pop them through this way, just to make life a little easier. Oh, look at that little one at the bottom lined up. It's got those all through there. So now we know they're all through. Let's line the screen up, pop that in correctly. All the cables are still through. And we just press firmly on the edges of the screen to get that adhesive re-established. I may even just warm it over again just to melt the adhesive and give it a good affix to the surface, but for now we've got the front in. So now let's start throwing parts back in our switch, remembering where everything went. Starting with this guy here, then we'll drop the board on top. Making sure not to trap any wires or cables underneath. This guy's been stubborn here, and so is the one at the bottom, see? Just pull this guy through. There he is. And that one there. The board should sit flat, but it doesn't seem to want to. There you go, it was not correctly seated. So now that's on, we'll get I think there was 4 screws for that. Get the 4 screws back in. So next we'll get the 2 screws in either side of the power connector. And next we'll slide in our Joy-Con connector from this side, as the ribbon cable needs to feed just underneath the battery here and underneath the board, back into position. Next, the fun part, we need to follow it around, connecting all these ribbon connectors back up to the plugs, so this is going to be fun. Make sure they're all the way in. Now we've got these fiddler devils down here, starting with this little guy. He does not want to go in there, does he? I believe he's in there. Pop that one down. And this little twisty guy. Yes, there he is. Click that down quickly. So we've got this guy in. Just got to get it underneath how it was. There we go. Under the board and plugged in. Hopefully it won't come away. So while we're over here, we'll just pop the speaker on, and then if I can see the plug, because it's very tiny, on here for the Wi-Fi too. There we go, pop, he's back in. Just get that wire back out of the way where it was. So far that's everything plugged in up here, so we'll get the little speaker in as well with this little guy down here. That's him plugged in. So down here now, to where we've just popped this ribbon cable through, and we've got another one of these nasty flipping ones. Let's see how easily this guy goes in. All the way in. That's both of those plugged in. Get this other speaker in. Oh yeah. Now for the next part, I'll be using some new screws from the kit because I don't want to go back to trying to put those rounded off screws in the side. So it's time to reattach the Joy-Con connectors to the side of the machine. You can see where I've scratched away at it trying to get the old screws out. It was a bit of unfortunate damage, but luckily covered when there's Joy-Cons on the machine. Don't put one in the middle though, that's one of the last ones we put in because that holds the rest of the case together. you can see the damage I caused getting those chewed screws out. What a shame. What a shame. But these things will happen. If I didn't get them out, it would have been game over anyway, so a little damage isn't so bad. Now they're nice and secure, we'll drop the CPU fan back in. I believe it goes foam side up. And pop that little ribbon connector back in as well. Right, so that's the fan plugged back in. Next we'll bring the headphone jack and cartridge slot back into play and get that dropped in just here. Making sure not to get the Wi-Fi cable trapped, because you don't want to screw through that when you put this screw back in here. We'll get that one in now for good measure to hold it down before we attempt to pop any of the ribbon cables in. Then we pop the cover over the headphone jack, just there, and screw that down too. Now we can plug the ribbon connector in. Lovely, that's him in, and then we just need to get this connector onto the plug underneath. Just line it up and press it down once it's in the correct place. There we go, that's snapped in. Fan's plugged in, this is plugged in. Everything's starting to come together now. Right, now that's all assembled, let's get rid of this grotty old paste on here. I know you can redo the paste underneath the tin lid, but I'm just not confident enough to remove that and do it, so I'm just going to repaste this horrible mess here and hope it helps. We'll just remove that, and it's gone rock hard. This was a launch machine, and I've played a few hundred hours of Zelda and Xenoblade, etc. So it's had a lot of hammer. This stuff looks more like blue tack than thermal paste. So we just give that a quick dab, clean over. Clean that excess off. So that's that guy done. We'll leave him drying off for a moment, and we'll get the back of the heat spreader done as well, because it's rock hard on here too. I love it, the Switch has got a very dinky little cooling system. I think that should be clean enough for now. So let's go find a bit of Arctic Silver and dab it on. May help with the system. I know doing underneath it is really beneficial to keep it cool, but again, I don't want to risk lifting that. That's not what we're here for today, but I just thought I'd repaste this real quick. So not that it's going to help much, but we'll get a tiny piece of this on. And I mean tiny, because it's only a tiny heat plate going over the top. So we'll drop this back in now, it's all cleaned up and we've got a nice blob on there. Making sure to line the radiator up first, because you want to drop it on as flat as possible. There we go. And then just pop the 3 screws in at the side. Hopefully we should have a slightly cooler Switch than we had, but it's all cleaned out, so much better than it was. And naturally we can't stick this foam back as it was on the fan, so we'll just hope for the best with that. Now we just need to pop the power connector back on, drop the back on, So now the back's on, we just need to get the SD card reconnected, which looks like it connects to this plug here. So if we're really lucky, we can bend this back, plug it in, and then just flop the card slot into place. Oh, I felt that click down. So that's the card slot SD card reader into place. It looks like we should have saved this screw till very last for inside here. It looks like it holds the card slot in place if we put it there. Get all that grease and any excess heatsink compound off with a bit of alcohol. Never hurts these things, and it also gets rid of all those nasty marks left behind. Look at that, disgusting. The inside of your switch gets filthy, ladies and gentlemen. Shiniest switch in all the land. Wee! So now that's all complete, let's get the back of the case reattached. Again, you see why I kept the power button just so it matches this kickstand and cartridge slot. I want to keep them that way, it just looks nice. So 4 screws, 1 in each corner. Now I just need to pop one in the top there and then the fan is. Which is these little dinky ones we've got left. Really hard to focus on it now, it's transparent, so sorry if it goes into slightly blurrier territories. That's not attached correctly. That's better, snapped into position. And then we just need the 2 either side of the charge port at the bottom. Now, because some of my screws chewed up, I did leave the central ones out. I hope that it does function without these, but I've had to leave them out because I don't have any screws for there at the moment. So there, that's clicked on there. Let's get some Joy-Cons clicked in. Goes click. It still goes double click. It's a bit tighter now, but I don't mind that. Let's power it. There we go. Get the screen a quick wipe down. Nope, I've got a dot. I've got a bit of fluff inside my screen, but you know what? It's such an immense strip down that we can see a bit of dust in there. Unfortunate, but hopefully when we power this on, it's minimal. Well, there we go, project complete. The Atomic Purple Nintendo Switch and Pro Controller. It looks really nice. It came together really well in the end. I've left the buttons and everything else in the original because it's a real nice mix of the sort of black and purple together. I think it looks really good. It was a very, very tricky mod to do. I'm not going to put the screen protector on just yet, as I do want to lift the screen once more just to get the dust out I got trapped in there, as it will become quite frustrating after a while if I don't do that. But other than the small issue with the dust and a couple of screws rounding off, it was relatively straightforward to do. It was just very, very, very time consuming, and you need a bit of patience for those more fiddly connectors. But the end result's absolutely fantastic. Can't rate these ExtremeRate products enough. I've been Knots Gamer. This has been the full-on Atomic Purple Nintendo Switch. I hope you find this helpful. Take care, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.